All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Geopolitical Trends, where truth matters. Excited to be with you as always. And I have this interesting topic, which, by the way, it's not reported on right here in the US. The information that I came across last night, I had to spend time reading and catching up on all that, was from overseas. And I read it in Arabic language. And this one has to do with the Houthis attacking the Ministry of Defense in Tel Aviv. So, very, very interesting development to say the least. But the media seems to be very keeping a lid on that one, at least here. And the reason I wanted to address this, yes, it's the targeting of the Ministry of Defense, which is significant, but also you have to understand the geopolitical landscape vis-a-vis other issues. And this is why I wanted to do the analysis for you immediately. So when you come across later on, when you read or hear whatever, you will have a background understanding that can give you a better sort of understanding of what's going on. So, but before I'll do this, let me say hi to our wonderful community, and I mean it when I say it. Masnoor, good to see you. Well, everybody's here. So Willie Homan, good to see you. Hanging G, good evening to you as well. And thank you for your kind word, Hank. Look, guys, I'm going to share it with you right here on the screen. Good evening to all community members, Geopolitics Trend. Welcome to GT live stream today. Thank you very much, Hanji. Really appreciate it. Timeline Dunkley, as always, good to see you. Taiwan still. Well, that's very interesting because I was one of those 95 million people who visited China. So, and thanks to you guys, the community. That's how I was able to make it to China. So, Li Yang, good to see you. Truth Seeker, Peng Yu, as always. Phil, good to see you. Khadija, salam to you as well. Kevin James, good to see you. Multi Tom, good to see you. John Smith from New Zealand. I haven't seen you for a while, so good to see you, John. And Sue, good to see you. And Marcian Dorcier. All right, guys, let's get into our conversation because there's a lot of moving parts. So I'm going to be tackling very variety of topics, but they all converge on one reality. So before I do this, there is also something I need to share with you that I came across. I read what's going on around the world, so I like to keep a tab on that. So, and I want to share that with you as well. Here is a meeting of the Prime Minister of Iraq, Mr. Soudani, with the King of England. So why is this important, you may ask? Well, it's not about meeting the king. Who gives a damn about a king, right? What's important, it's about the deal that's been struck in London regarding a $15 billion deal between Iraq and UK, by which there will be defense deals, okay? That is what it's all about. You all know what it means, because here is now where the question that we all need to ask. Iraq seems to be backtracking, meaning going backward on its statements when it stated they want the US forces out. Now you don't hear them saying a word about it. Is this paving the way through England, through money? Second thing you need to know about this topic here is that the majority, this is based on my knowledge, I was on the ground. Some former foreign ministers or prime ministers, of Iraq had their assets in England. Basically corruption. Yeah, no exception. So this is why I'm very, very surprised at this deal that now between the Prime Minister Mohammed al-Soudani and his counterpart, the idiot Keir Starmer. I would say the Soudani is an idiot as well. Let's just say it straightforward. So, second thing I need to share with you, it's developments of an event. Makes you just wonder, what are you looking at? You're looking at a picture. This one here is demonstrations taking place in Mongolia. And it was published by the Russian Strategic Center. I checked the embassy inside Mongolia and I found the information to be correct. So now makes you just wonder of the timing. Is this an American way, trying an attempt to undermine Chinese and Russian interests in the country? I'll let you be the judge on that. And please just answer the question, yes or no. Is it an attempt by the US to undermine China-Russia interests in the country, meaning in Mongolia? And of course, for the US to enhance its influence in the region. So please, in the chat box, just put yes or no. And I think I have one third item for you, if I'm not mistaken. No, the third one is very embarrassing, but I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it because you need to know what's going on. I put a banner. Check this out here, guys. This is from a teacher. I live in a community where I check the community conversations and so forth. And this guy is a teacher. Look what he's writing. Asking for help so he can purchase laminated pouches and other basic supplies to run the classrooms. In other words, teachers now are paying out of their pocket and asking for help from the community. It shows you the incompetence of the government, both state and federal. But mainly, I'll blame the federal for this, for sending the billions of dollars overseas, while at the same time, classrooms don't have the basics, essentials for education. It's shameful. As a former professor myself, it's just shame. What a shame. So, and when you take into consideration what's going on in California with the fire and the administration sending people in California $770, what is going to do for you? While sending billions overseas to both Ukraine and Israel. So, shame. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because it's something I just wanted to share it with you. Simple as that. So, anyway, let's get into our topic here. And what are we going to be addressing? It's a major, Legon, Raphael, thank you so much, man. Professor, I found out that Germany was winning every battle during World War I. They were not losing. They decided they were too spread out. Germany asked to end the war. Professor, was that right? No. To my knowledge, it was because the Russians got involved. And when the Russians got involved, the Germans knew they're not going to be able to sustain all the allies coming together, because Russia wasn't Soviet Union at the time. But the moment the Soviets entered the war, the US went in. It wasn't the other way around, as they have you believe, because history says now, it's the US that won World War II. It's a lie. It's not the US. It's the Soviet Union. We took credit for it. So I just want to put a straight record for this one. And thank you, Raphael, for your support. Truly appreciate you for that. So, all right, let's get into our topic about the Houthis bombing the Israeli Ministry of Defense. So now, this is a major development, and you're going to have to ask the questions that matter regarding this one. And I have the questions for you, like we always do, guys. You know now how I structure the live stream. Here's the first question. How significant is this attack? Well, of course, every attack is significant, but there are, you know by now how to differentiate between the level of significance for event A versus the significance of event B. This one, what makes it very significant? Second question, what message is the Houthis are sending, and to whom? Third question, is this a reflection of the new geopolitical realities on the ground, which I will be addressing for you? When I say on the ground, I'm referring to the region, mainly the Red Sea area, Syria, Lebanon, and Israel, Gaza, and so forth. So the origin, Turkey, Kurdish, and so forth. And the fourth question is, what lies ahead? Because don't tell me this is not going to lead to something. And when I provide you my analysis, it will make more sense to you. And please, just put your comments, your feedback, your insights on. We are here to learn from each other. So the Houthis, or Ansarullah, that is, announced on Tuesday, yesterday evening, that it has attacked new targets in Tel Aviv, and also targeted a power station in the city of Eilat. So the thing is, and like you, I will be asking, are the Houthis making this up? Why? Why will they make hypothetical? Because there are those who argue in the same way. Oh, this is just like a lie. Wait a minute. Why will they have to lie for? What are they going to gain from that? I understand about the information, psyops, and so forth. But of this magnitude, I don't think so. Because they're going to hurt their credibility. And second, the Houthis are the only one that's taking stand still fighting the Americans, the British, and the Israelis. And guess what? How long, and I'm going to ask you this question for you guys. How long since the Houthis imposed the blockade on the Red Sea? Can anybody answer this one here? Just roughly how many months? In your estimate, so it doesn't have to be exact. I just need you to be part of this conversation here. How many months, in your opinion? Which will make more sense to you. Why I'm asking the questions. Multi-Tom, you said 15 months. Sang-Tan, 6 months. I will go with Multi-Tom, about 14 months, 13, 14, give or take. And why is this important? Because till today, the US, with all its might, the British, the Israel, they couldn't lift the blockade. So that tells you right there. The Houthis will have no reason to lie about targeting, and they have been targeting locations inside Israel. And this is why it's stated that, and I have the quote, I'm going to share it with you word for word and provide you the link where it came from overseas, not here, not in the US. So that on Tuesday, it has successfully bombed the headquarters of the Israeli Ministry of Defense in Tel Aviv. And what they attacked this with, and I digged enough to find the picture with the hypersonic missile. That's how they did it. So ballistic missile, and that's and here is where the confusion comes in. Why they want to keep you confused? When I say they, I am referring to the mainstream media, because what is stated is that, oh, by the way, the Houthis are, based on this argument, it stated, and I'm quoting here, that it has successfully bombed the headquarters of the Israeli Ministry of Defense in Tel Aviv with hypersonic missile, and that the interception systems had failed to intercept it in the third operation within 12 hours. End of quote. And once again, the spokesperson, Major General Yahya Sari, is the one who quote, and he said, and I quote, "We carried out a military operation targeting the so-called Israeli Defense Ministry in occupied Jaffa. Jaffa is Tel Aviv in the Arabic world, with Palestine to hypersonic ballistic missile," which is this one right here. And even it says right here in Arabic to those. Well, it's in English as well. Palestine, right there. Palestine 2. With hypersonic ballistic missile. End of quote. Said group spokesman Yahya Sari. And this is where you get the idea of the statements from the Israeli media. And it stated, and I quote, 11 Israeli were injured as hundreds of thousands rushed to shelters when a missile was fired from Yemen, which the Israeli army claimed to have intercepted. End of quote. I'll let you decide, guys. I will never ever tell you is this or that. I'll provide you the information to the best of my knowledge because I do fact check it. Then you decide. The Israeli Broadcast Authority also reported in a statement that sirens sounded in the past hours in central Israel and the southern coastal region following the launch of a missile from Yemen. So once again, I have no reason to doubt the claim by the Houthis as to targeting the Ministry of Defense, the Israeli one, with the hypersonic. And that's lead to the key question is, are they in possession, meaning the Houthis, of advanced missile systems? This to me proves the case, since the defense missile system in Israel was unable to intercept. It's common sense, guys. This is no, it's really common sense. That's how I see it. So now, as part of this analysis, I am going to be sharing with you my own insights into why you have to link this event with others. I'm not going to be talking about, the missile landed here and that. It's for me to share the knowledge with you. I need you to understand always the big picture. Yeah, details matters into this to understand. But the significance, as we ask the question first, how significant is this? We're talking about the Ministry of Defense. Like I always say, optics matters when it comes down to international relations, affairs, and so forth. The optics, the fact that the Houthis missile was able to target the Ministry of Defense, it says the story right there. But here is where I see why the importance of all this, the geopolitical changes that's taking place. So I have about 3 or 4 points that I'm going to detail each one. So I'm going to start with Syria, Turkey, and the US, because you need to understand within the dynamics of what's taking place regarding this developments that just took place by having the Houthis targeting the Ministry of Defense. Okay. When it comes down to this, by the way, FYI, guys, once again, it's not reported in details here in the West. You can find the information overseas. The last 3 or 4 days, as a matter of fact, to be exact, is on my birthday. That's when it happened, as I found out yesterday. On January 8th, there were conversations taking place, between France and the US. And the reason they were taking place because both countries, the US and France, wanted to send their troops to secure border zones in northern Syria as part of an effort to diffuse conflict between Turkey and Western-backed Kurdish Syrian forces. Now, just pay close attention because there are too many moving parts. Speaking of this Kurdish Turkey stuff, I did an analysis which I will release for you soon. I decided to start releasing my analysis for you every either Saturday or Sunday. I didn't decide on the date yet, but be on the lookout every Saturday or every Sunday for my analysis. And I already did one, which I will release for you soon. So why is this important to understand this dynamics? Because the possibility that Turkey could enter into confrontation with the US is not a far-fetched reality. The possibility is there. Why? Because Turkey doesn't hold back against the PKK, the Kurdish rebels, considering them a terrorist group. So here is what the Turkish president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, said, and I quote, "I warned that Turkey has the power and ability to crush all terrorists in Syria, including the Islamic State and Kurdish militants, while urging all countries to take their hands off Syria." End of quote. Very major development that you need to understand how this could be tied to what the Houthis did. Well, the Houthis did what they did because of what Israel is doing by moving into the Golan Heights and thinking, oh, we got it control. We have it control. We have control over it. No, you don't, because you still have to deal with the Yemeni group, Houthis, that is, which, by the way, I tip my hat to them. You know me, guys, I don't sugarcoat things. I tip my hat to them for taking stand. They're still standing, compared to the Jordanians, to the Saudis, to the United Arab Emirates, the rest of the incompetent, the Muslim Arab leaders, so-called. Take Iran out of these statements here. But the Houthis themselves still taking stand on their own. I am sure they've been provided some advanced systems from third party, whomever that third party is. But the fact that after 14 months, we couldn't lift the blockade on the Red Sea. And again, while at the same time the Houthis were attacking the Ministry of Defense, they also chased out the USS Harry Truman aircraft carrier, which I will detail with you as I move forward. So the first thing you need to understand about this is the Syria, Turkey, and the US. And this is why it's important to understand. The second thing you need to understand about this is that is now Julani, the terrorist who became now the head de facto, is he a dead man walking, basically? Because here is the hard reality that, again, it's not being disclosed to the everybody, basically, that is that not every Syrian is content and happy with this guy here being in charge now, because this will be no different than what ISIS did before, what the imposing certain rules and restrictions and all that. You'll remember when the incompetent foreign minister of Germany, Annalena Baerbock, went to Syria along with her counterpart from France. This guy here, Julani, didn't want to shake her hand, told her, you stay back there, which was very embarrassing. Now, cultural, whatever, we're not going to focus in on this. We're focusing on the idea that they are thinking that they can mold the guy into their. Yeah, many have argued that he is an agent of a Western intelligence, which I disclose in my analysis when I release for you later on. You will be able to decipher my message there. And this is where the difference is about understanding these dynamics. So this is one. So is he a dead man walking? Basically, like I said, the other question that many is asking is that, is this guy, Julani, is any better than Bashar al-Assad? So it's worth a question asking that one. A third one has to do with, now all this happening around the same time. That's why I said for this one here, why I wanted to go ahead and do the analysis for you is to decipher at least a few things, and so you will avoid any confusion as far as, okay, where this is going and so forth. The third element has to do with Iran. What happened with Iran? Iran was able to down the RQ-4 Global Hawk, which you don't hear much about. Okay, I'm going to share a clip with you because you need to see it with your own eyes. Bear with me here, guys, because I'm going to open up this and share it with you. All right, let's share screen. Pardon me. Share screen. And by the way, this drone here cost about $220 million. So take a listen, guys.
Above the Persian Gulf, monitoring activity near Iranian.
Right there.
The RQ-4 Global Hawk was super high above the Persian Gulf, monitoring activity near Iranian waters. At 60,000 feet, it is a challenging target for most air defense systems, but not invulnerable. Also, the U.S. probably thought Iran wouldn't risk escalating tensions by targeting a military asset, especially in such a contested region, not knowing that the Iran's Khordad-3 surface-to-air missile system had already locked onto the drone. The missile roared into the air, and the $220 million drone was obliterated. Its wreckage plummeted into the sea. The RQ-4 Global Hawk.
All right. Now, for something like that, you can ignore, once again, all it coming to converge at the same time on one reality, and one reality only, is that the Houthis still standing. Despite what the US was launching, despite what the British was launching, they just couldn't. Britain it just lost. I mean, Britain is useless. Anyway, you all saw what's going on with how their government trying to suppress now an investigation into some very, very disturbing information about younger children. Very disturbing. So, and this is why, again, when I went back to that picture that I saw of the Iraqi Sudani, it's an idiot. It's an idiot. That's how they are buying Iraq again. So why would you want to do this after what happened to the country? And one of the reality for it is, didn't they, in this case, US and the UK, didn't like the fact that China has built Iraq infrastructure to a degree. He was the Chinese that built schools. I was there, guys. I spent years in and out, though I did argue for the record against the invasion to begin with. I wrote a letter, but it was dismissed. It didn't make it to the boss at the time. So uh, I am not there. I'm at, just, how it is. So, but, and that's to me, Iraq is also to blame for really what's taking place regarding Syria and so forth. I bet you that for them allowing the presence of U.S. forces, well, you're going to have to leave. Look what African countries did. Yeah, look what African countries did. The Sahel region, they kicked the US out, the French, and any other foreign entity they don't want. And speaking of that, before I forget, I know last time I mentioned about this guy, the Senegal president, the youngest. I meant in Senegal. The youngest in Africa is Ibrahim Traore. So I didn't elaborate on this last time. I forgot. My apologies, but that's what I meant when I said the youngest. I should have added to that. But anyway, so the idea that Iraq is allowing this, it just gives you an idea where things are headed. So when we go back to the idea of Iran downing the RQ4, the Global Hawk, it's significant because the altitude of this, by the way, guys, it goes to about 60,000 feet, way up. So if Iran was exploded, then his F-16 is not any better. And also that gives you an idea that Iran is in possession of advanced systems. Never. And if they are, could it be the possibility that's how they supply the Houthis with you call it the missile, the hypersonic, or the ballistic, I'm sorry, the ballistic missile. So the hypersonic ballistic missile. Would it be that Iran supplied that? Or was it Russians? Or some third party? We don't know which one that is. And the fourth element is also this Netanyahu's loss. What do I mean by that? What I mean by this is that Donald Trump just turned on Netanyahu. This is why Bibi is not going to attend the inauguration of Trump comes January 20th, which is 5 days from today. Yeah, Trump turned on him. So, as a matter of fact, you're hearing now about some ceasefire, whatever it's going to be a deal and all that. And not that the Israelis want it, is that Donald Trump pressured Netanyahu to accept the deals, even with for example, Netanyahu has always said there will be no release of the Palestinians prisoners. Now he's going to do that, moving forward with it. So, and this is why I feel comfortable saying that the far right in Israel politics sort of now is projected its complete collapse because Netanyahu lost his bidding on, he lost his bet on Trump. Simple as that. And this is where things going to now turn sour moving forward. It's not a laughing matter. It's because Netanyahu appears to have lost now. That's after Donald Trump pushed hard to accept the prisoner swap. And what a shame on the Muslims. And it took the US to do this, not the Muslim world. Yeah, what a shame. What a shame on Arabs and Muslims. Leaders, that is, not the population. I always distinguish rather between the population and the leadership. And this is why signs now of reaching out a stalled agreement increases. So Israel now has entered a state of a political turmoil. Why? Because you have two elements inside its government. You have the national security minister, Itmar Ben-Gvir, and you have the finance minister, Smotrich, began threatening to withdraw from the government. Withdrawing from the government means the collapse of Netanyahu's government, which means at that time the parliament will have to enter into either new elections, the president will call for. Anyway, it would be a major turmoil, basically. And this is why this element has also had to be included in this analysis to understand the dynamics of this. The other element, which is very important for you to understand, is that the Houthis, I had the picture of the aircraft carrier here. And by the way, I give credit to Matthew Nass. That's his picture. So you give credit where credit is due. This is USS Harry Truman. So what happened with this? The Yemenis targeted the USS Harry Truman. So because they announced the attack on last Friday against the US aircraft carrier in the Red Sea, aimed at tensions between the group and, of course, the Houthis and the US, UK, and Israel. So, and here is what Yahya Sari, let me get again his picture. Yahya Sari said, and I quote, and I have the link that I'm going to post for you guys in the description. So, Yahya Sari said, and I quote, fighters targeted the USS Harry Truman aircraft carrier and several naval vessels in northern Red Sea with several cruise missiles and drones. He added, the attack foiled a new assault on Yemen by the USS Harry Truman aircraft carrier, forcing it to leave the northern Red Sea. End of quote. Man, once again, the optics of it. It's because the reason why the Harry Truman, the aircraft had to move, because they understand that if if the Yemeni Houthi group is able to launch a missile into the Ministry of Defense, they must have something that can target the aircraft. And if they do, that means a third party, some advanced systems have been provided. Now you can guess or whomever you want, the Chinese, the Russians, the Koreans, the Iranians. It doesn't matter. What matters is that they are in possession of this. And that's probably what made the Central Command calculations, Central Command, that's the one in charge of the region, to make the proposition to the president to give the order to withdraw, because that's how the protocol goes. This is not a call by the Central Command commander, it's by the president. Even though president doesn't know day from night, you feel sorry for the guy. He's clueless anyway. It was shocking to read the statement from the White House that America, because of its foreign policy now, stands in a strong position. What a bunch of baloney. They have no shame. They have no shame of saying lies. I just don't get it. And yes, there are Americans who are consuming those lies. Pathetic. Very, very pathetic. We don't even have foreign policy, let alone taking strong stand in the world. The world is much better. What are they talking about? So, and this is why. Now to go back to my conversation about the Houthis chasing out the USS Harry Truman, is that the group carried out several, meaning the Houthis, several military operations when they launched the missile on the Ministry of Defense in Tel Aviv. Prior to that, 48 hours before that, they launched different operations. We don't hear much about it here because it's not reported here. So, And that included those two attacks, one on the USS aircraft and the other one on Israeli sites beside the Ministry of Defense. So, and all they are asking for, the Houthis, and here is what Sari said, and I quote, "Our operations in support of Gaza will continue until the aggression ends and the siege is lifted." End of quote. They're not asking for, all they are asking is taking stand. They take stand. They really, you know, respect, guys, respect is earned. I respect you just because you have a higher position, whatever. I don't give a damn about that. I respect you because you earned the respect. This is what the Houthis have been doing. They earned the respect, putting the monarchs in the Muslim world to shame. Because what are they? Those monarchs, those presidents, just a damn servants, no more, no less. And you have people bowing to them for what? It's like Stone Age, man. And here is group with, if you only know, guys, how the famine that exists in Yemen is one of the poorest countries in the Arab and Muslim world. Saudis couldn't defeat them. The Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, joined by the US and some NATO members, providing weapons and intelligence target, they couldn't defeat them. So where are the Arabs? Where are the Muslim world? I mean, let's be honest about it. And all this because for the attack that the Houthis conducted was a response to what the Israelis and the British did by carrying out their first, here is the key, is the first time that Israel and the UK, they coordinated the attack on the Houthi targets inside Yemen. And by the way, this was even confirmed inside Israel Public Broadcasting Corporation. So it seems to me that when the information like this has to be filtered for Western audience and not be disclosed. That's what prompts me to do this for you guys, because it's very, very important to understand this. And it was a great article by Ahmed Asmar. That's when I read this one about the, and I'm going to post the link for you on the description. That's when I'm going to put it for you. So, and this is where it disclosed about the idea of why the Houthis went ahead and announced the attack on the US aircraft carrier in the Red Sea, prompting the Central Command to give the order for the aircraft to leave the region. So now I'm going to bring a much bigger picture, far away from that region, just to make a point. If the Houthis were able to achieve this, can you imagine what's going to be happening in the Asia Pacific? If hypothetically the US decide to send aircraft carriers into the South China Sea. So if the Houthis were able to chase the USS aircraft carrier, what do you think the Chinese will be able to do? And this is just food for thoughts, because something you have to think, the optics of things. Very, very, very important. Speaking of Asia, while I'm thinking about it, remember to join me on Friday at 1900 hours for my conversation with none other than Malo. I think I got her picture. Yeah, right here. Malo will be joining me she is well-versed. She has quite an understanding of what's going on, given her professional background. So remember to join me on Friday at 1900 hours. And this is, again, where you need to understand why these dynamics matter. And I found other locations where, meaning sites, where this information wasn't announced here in the West. It was announced overseas. This is a picture from the article that I found, and I'm going to post it for you in the description, guys, later on, so you can take a look at it. And both of them talked about the attack and it was updated as of today. I'm going to share. Let me show you. So this way you guys see with your own eyes, because Transparency is very, very important to me. So you know what I'm referring to here. So we would put things in perspective. There we go, guys. This is an article by Mohammed Sami. So, and look when it was updated. Look at the dates, which means what? It was this morning. Yeah. And this is the translated version of it. So I just want you to see with your own eyes. Now, the next element out of all this analysis that I'm doing, remember, we talked about the first three, right? Or four. The Syria, Turkey, US. We talked about the Joulani, who became now the de facto, this guy here, Joulani. So funny how you move from now we call him first of all, we call him now by his first name, but his name Ashara, not his le nom de guerre, Joulani. And funny how we call him now freedom fighter. Very, 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 you know what I mean. The third element is the Iran downing the RQ4, the Global Hawk. Okay. The fourth element is the Bibi Netanyahu that Trump turned on him now. And of course, the statement by Recep Erdogan. And there is a fifth element that I'm going to be sharing with you. This one has to do with Washington, because you need to understand that. Why is this important? It's because the Central Command General, now Michael Gorilla, I have a picture of him right here. He is in Egypt. And Egypt, you know, Egypt talks a lot because we're the one who allow Sisi, former general, to conduct a coup. We're the one who allowed it. We and the Saudis gave the green light for the guy. So because they didn't like when Mohammed Morsi won the elections. Through voting, we didn't like the outcome. So funny how that's to me hypocrisy. I can't stand it. I'd rather you tell me to my face, because I will respect you. You have enough courage to look at me in my eye and tell me whatever you needed to say, instead of playing these games. That's hypocrisy. So anyway, this guy, the commander Gorilla, General Michael Eric Gorilla, that is, he's in Egypt. He was in Egypt yesterday. Why is in Egypt? To discuss security issues. Well, first of all, why the heck are you going over there when we have our own security issues with the border right here? Why would you go over there when you can spend the money right here in the US? So, and this is where he met with his counterpart of the Egyptian Ahmed Khalifa, who's another corrupt, because here is the reality you need to know. We've been giving Egypt about $2.7 billion a year, or 2.4 back then. We dropped it now to 1.7. We've been giving Egypt this amount of money since they signed the peace treaty with Israel. You all remember the Camp David summit with Menachem Begin and Yasser Arafat at the time. And also because of that, the US gave the money. Where that money goes? That money ends up being controlled by the military establishment, because Egypt doesn't have. Most of the presidents that comes through Egypt, they came from the military, through coups. That's just the norm. I mean, I'll go as far back as Jamal Abdel Nasser, Anwar Sadat, Hosni Mubarak. And now you have this guy. And when they come to power, they stay forever. Hosni Mubarak was about 28 to 30 years. And what we found, because when I did the research for my first book, let me show you the picture of it, if I have it. I think I do. Yes, I do. As my first book, as soon as I completed my PhD, I wrote about the ambiguous foreign policy of the United States towards the Muslim world. And I did the research about this one regarding Egypt. Found out that the money that we give doesn't go to the Egyptian people. It goes to the military establishment who control the economy. And which means what? The one at the top, the head of the government, bribe the others so they can stay quiet, and the money gets diverted to private accounts overseas, in Switzerland mainly. This is why when Hosni Mubarak died, it was a disclosure of an amount of money, about $28 billion in a private bank in Switzerland. Where did that money come from? How the heck he generate that kind of money? And Egyptian people are not seeing a dime of it. So just to highlight to you, so to put this in perspective, when you hear or read that the US is sending its central command general to talk with Egyptian about security, what security? You are going to Egypt to give them the marching orders. Because the Egyptian government, not the people, they give a damn about the Palestinians. Most of the Muslim world, they don't care. Let's be honest about it. So he's going over to give the marching order to this guy so they can talk to the president and make the arrangements with the Israelis behind closed doors. If you only know, back then, when Amr Moussa used to be the head of the intelligence in Egypt, the coordination that exists between him and Mossad, it was on a daily basis. And this is what you need to understand. That's why I always say, guys, the big picture, because without understanding, it will not make any sense to you. So, second thing within Washington has to do with this guy right here. Now, this one is the nominee, which this is Pete Hegseth, is the nominee for Secretary of Defense. The guy is unqualified. Just you come from a media establishment because he used to work for Fox. I got nothing against the guy. Yes, he was a former military. So what? Just because you were a former military doesn't mean you're qualified. You know, and now you started to see, even within the Trump picks for the cabinet, gives you an idea what type of policies they intend to embark on. To me, the key positions have always been the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, National Security Advisor, Central Intelligence Agency Director. Those are the key. But even for the last one, the key ones are Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense. So when you have this guy for defense and you have Marco Rubio, who is a hawk as he can get, the guy is, he's a trigger happy. That's basically, so you can expect what kind of so-called foreign policy we're going to embark on during Trump. And again, no offense to Trump. Yes, he is right on the idea of cutting off the aid to Ukraine, cutting off the aid to NATO, or even disbanding NATO altogether. But on the other hand, you don't go about claiming territory of other countries like Greenland. You don't go about threatening to use force to take over Panama. You don't threaten your neighbors to the north and the south, Canada and Mexico for that matter. That's just not a behavior of a statesman per se, because that's not that language. And that is where part of where the problem is. So the choice in this case for Donald Trump's a choice for defense secretary, it's, oh, by the way, this guy, he already stated he is back in Israel in its war in the Gaza Strip. It's on record. And I'm going to provide you the link to read that one. So that gives you an idea of what kind of policy you're going to be expecting. And this is, again, what you need to understand to put the context of the Houthis launching the hypersonic missile into the Ministry of Defense in Tel Aviv. So that's all I have for you guys. I am going to see if there are any super sticker questions. I will answer them. If not, I'm going to I'm going to sign off here. But I want you to remember, join me on Friday. Join me tomorrow, by the way, on the big channel. We're going to be resuming our activities on that channel. We'll be doing a live stream tomorrow. And on Friday at 1900 hours, will be my conversation with Malo. Let me show a picture here. And I will be releasing a video for you. Please make sure to subscribe if you have not done so. I will greatly appreciate it. And if you want to support the channel, you know where to do it. So I'll be grateful for you for that. So as always, remember, geopolitics impact your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.